Welcome back, TTP. You guys, I know I look crazy today, but it's just cause I don't know if it's like spiritual warfare or what it is. Let me see these lights. Well, I've been the look at this a little bit more. I've been we're pretty good into the year. We're like what, like a month in, a little over a month in, and I have not posted not one video. I'm sorry. Truth be told, y'all never know when I'm going through it because I carry myself with so much grace. But towards the end of last year, your girl was going through it. On the outside, y'all was seeing the publications, y'all was seeing the, celebration of the 3 year, hallelujah, praise the Lord. But behind the scenes, I had a lot of going on. It was nothing. I just don't feel ready to talk about it. And I'm laughing because it's just like, I don't, it's really only God that be taking me through certain things because, like, I'm such a sensitive person. Y'all know me. I'm ADHD. So it's like, when it comes to processing and reacting to certain things, I have almost this guilt for when I feel like I need to take time for myself and just take time away. Because I'm just such a person. I'm just such a giving person. I like to be able to give. I like to be able to share my joy, share success with those that I appreciate and those that I love. But when your girl is going through it, she needs some time. You know what I mean? Like, I be wanting to be all up in the scene, but I really don't got the energy to be all up in the scene. So yeah, so this past month and a half, 2 months, I've really just been taking time for myself and learning to just let myself breathe. Cause the spectrum side of me is like, if I don't have like a certain routine, I feel like I'm gonna explode. But then the ADHD side is like just trying to keep myself in motion, because if I don't keep myself in motion physically, it feels like it felt like I would get myself in motion mentally. And for me, that looks like being stuck inside a freaking prison cell in my own brain. It's horrible if you really think about it, like exactly how I just said it. Because a lot of times when I be going through stuff that's just super traumatizing, like just like everyone else, I have my own coping methods, but unfortunately, my coping methods usually involve suppression. And just because I suppress it doesn't mean it's not going to come out in different forms of my life and different aspects of my life. So I've been trying to learn to let myself feel in the moment and just be kind to myself while I'm feeling. Because sometimes I feel like, oh, since I'm such an emotionally sensitive person and mentally sensitive, I don't want to get caught up in those emotions because I know, like, me, I be by myself most of the time, and I carry my own cross. More often than not, I don't really. I go through things, and when I go through it, I go to my prayer closet with God. You feel what I'm saying? Like, I love not that I don't have people in my life that love and support me, but I know when I'm going through it, the only place I want to be is in my prayer closet with my good Lord, okay? Because God's the only person I can just scream and cry and just unload without feeling like I have to look a certain, a big reason I haven't posted yet is because um I don't want to say vanity, but it's just when you go through what I went through, it changes everything. changes your perspective on yourself, changes how you view yourself and how you view the world and people that you have around you. So I've just been trying to get to a place where I feel like me again. And I feel like now that I'm finally almost there, I can start to be more expressive, not with just with like what I've been through, but just in general in life. Like I've been waking up every day and I've just been quiet. Like I'll listen to music, I'll vibe. But it's just been I was just thinking about this too. Because just how the power of the tongue uh is obviously powerful. God mentions it in the Bible time and time again. I think the power of silence is so heavily underestimated and not always held to the same value as the power of speaking, the power of the tongue, you know? Because when you take that time to have that solitude and to just listen more than you speak, you tend to see things a lot more clearly and a lot differently. And I'll say, when I was going through what I went through, I was very observant with the people who I had in my circle and how, not necessarily just how they treated me, but I started to pay attention way more to people's character over personality. Not like I didn't prior, but it was like now I'm just like, okay, maybe this I'm able to use discernment more when understanding between the two. Because a lot of times it's like when you see something consistently enough, you'll be like, okay, this is an established part of someone's character. But more often than not, some people are just really good at keeping up a facade. And some people need that because they're not able to face the reality of their world and their past. You understand what I'm saying? And me, because I feel like I'm able to be such a genuine person because I've genuinely taken the time to understand who I am as a person. So when I react or when I speak or when I just connect on certain levels and certain things, it's not me just saying things that I've heard before, regurgitating things. No, I everything I do and everything I say now is with intention. And I think because now I move so intentionally, I'm able to monitor everything that I put out. So when I'm monitoring everything that's coming into my life, I can match it to what I've been putting back out into the universe. Because everything you put out is going to come back to you in one way or form or another to see whether that's something you want to continue to put out into the world. So I've been learning in my dark season. I was really just listening to a sermon from Sarah Jakes this morning about dark seasons. And I feel like a lot of times as Christians, um, I only say as Christians because, that's how I grew up, that's how I was raised, that's how I learned how to understand God. But y'all know I'm more spiritual than religious. But regardless, as followers of God, a lot of times when we are early in our journey, we assume, or even at times in our journey, we question why God allows certain things to happen to us. But in the Bible, I think she said that the the rain falls on the just and the unjust alike. So it's not that God doesn't love you anymore and that's why he's allowing things to happen. But when you are a child of God, the reasoning behind things happening is different. It's not just that things won't happen, but the reasoning behind it is different. When you're following God and things happen to you, it's to strengthen you and strengthen your faith within Him. But when you are not under His umbrella of protection, the things that are happening are usually happening to redirect you towards Him. So a lot of times we allow ourselves to switch into this nature of fear when we are not supposed to have mindsets of fear, but instead of faith. The difference between the two oftentimes is going to be a very heavy in us determining the decisions we make in our lives. So when you're leading from a place of fear, you're going to understand things from a place of fear, and it's in the place of survival, because ultimately survival is just pushing through. It's almost just reacting to the things in the world around you. But when you move from a place of faith, you then start to look at the things happening as lessons, something to learn something from. And when you're learning the situations that you're going through, you're more able to recognize the patterns before you get to the end results again. And when I say that is you understand the cycle, so the cycle doesn't repeat over and over. But a lot of times when you're moving from a place of fear and you're moving from a place of survival, you only understand things as this is happening. How do I find a way to control or get ahead of the situation? But when you move from a place of faith, you have a certain level of acceptance when it comes to the things that you deal with in life. And that acceptance allows you to not try and push for control over a situation you never had control over in the first place. Not because you can't or you're incapable, but because you simply weren't supposed to. This life, when we get too attached to the materialistic shit, and I'm trying to stop swearing. I'm trying to cut back. I'm doing good this episode, but sorry y'all. But a lot of times we get so caught up in this physical world that we forget that we are not just humans, but we are spirits interpreting and experiencing the human experience. You know what I'm saying? Like, we are not just meat sacks. We have something within this that is connected to God and the breath of His life that allows us to move through and understand the things that He wants us to. So when we lose track of that, we no longer are able to move. That requires a certain level of trust in God, aka faith. You feel what I'm saying? Like, it requires a certain level of trust that things are actually, that's what's happening to you is actually supposed to be happening, in order for you to not freak out. You feel what I'm saying? Like, it's really easy to be like, oh yeah, everything happens for a reason and God has control and this and that and the third. But to really truly believe that is hard. But that's why endurance is so important. Those that endureth and learn how to ultimately draw closest to God. Because when you learn that things are happening for a reason, truthfully, you're able to let go of the idea that you caused something. Because a lot of times we rebel against the plan or rebel against the experiences we go through because, and oftentimes, we do make decisions that put us in those situations. You feel what I'm saying? It is good to be able to recognize that, because even though, yes, you might have seen the warning signs that God tried to give to you and you still went ahead, that doesn't mean you're not gonna still use that situation for your good. And a lot of times it's just like, it's really hard to differentiate between the situations that we feel that we've put ourselves into and the situations that we feel like God has called us to. But with that, the only answer truthfully is knowing your own story and knowing the path that you've been led to take in this world. Because although we do have free will in our decisions, that does not mean that our paths are not predestined and God knows everything happened, bro, and that's everything that's supposed to happen. So, you know, understanding that helps you just be like, okay, so God knew this was going to happen. If He did not take me out of this situation, what then does He want me to learn from it? What is here that I'm not seeing, that if I don't see this now, I'm going to see again later when I'm in a different circumstance where it might hurt me a little bit more? And a lot of times we don't realize how it could have been a lot worse. even with what I was dealing with this past couple months, looking back, like I understand that at a certain point I could have lost my life. And it is that serious. And it's just like understanding how everything happened. I knew that God was with me every step of the way and trying to comfort me through every step of the way and make it as painless a process as possible, because I understood how similar circumstances have been for other people and how other people have lost their lives being in the same circumstances that I was. So it's like, it's not anything other than his perfect plan in everything that happens, in every small detail that happens in your life. And understanding that God is a God of details helps you to change how you think of him. Because a lot of times we don't have the capacity to really understand how amazing God really is in everything that he does. And because we don't have the capacity to understand why he moves the way he moves in our lives, sometimes it's very easy to build resentment for the situations that you're allowed to go through. But in truth and in reality, I've learned to be grateful and appreciative of the situations I've been through, because not only could they have been a lot worse and I could have just not been given another opportunity to find something better for myself and choose better for myself, but I could have been an example that someone else was holding hope on, and then I could in turn be the reason that someone else gives up as well. Because we don't realize how many people are watching. We don't realize how deeply some interactions with people can affect them. And sometimes we forget how our stories and our testimonies are something that people really hold on to for dear life. Not because of any incapabilities on their end to change their circumstance, but because knowing that someone else is going through something that you are currently going through, it just eliminates this vast loneliness that we can sometimes feel when we can't feel the physical presence of God. But when we see those situations and we hear those stories of what people have survived and what God has carried them through, it kind of brings a sense of peace and knowing that my situation is not so unique that God can't touch me. My situation is not so unique that God can't use me. My situation is not so unique that He doesn't know what to do in my life to move. And now that I'm understanding that I need to have those people around me where I can lean on and understand, and that have experienced and had that encounter with God the way that I have. Not just for myself, but also so that I can continue to be fuel for the fire for the rest of his children. Because at the end of the day, we are all a collective. Whether we like it or not, we're connected intimately. We may not see it with our human bare eyes, but our spiritual eye sees all. And when I really just took a second to just look at how, even though there are situations that I was stuck in, how far God has taken me from where I once was, I knew that I would get through it the same way I did before. And now that I'm able to stand here and begin to testify, it's like he did it again in my life. But this time I felt prepared. This time I knew this stage of my journey, I knew he was holding me. I knew that every step of the way, even though I felt alone, or even though I felt lonely, I was never truly alone. And every single step, he reminded me and he comforted me with love and light in a way that I had encountered before, but not really given the attention needed to understand and value how much love God has for me. And now I can give that same love to myself because I understand that love. It's a love that was once foreign to me, but now that I understand it, I get it now. I get it. I get why he has allowed me to be molded through certain experiences. I get why it's so important for me to learn how much he loves me and how he will do anything to get me to where he wants me to be. And because I understand that, I can now help other people understand that what you're going through is to bring you closer, not farther up from him. And I can do it genuinely. And I think we're moving into, as a society, a world where we're understanding the value of genuineness, of authenticity. And because of that, people are more, it's more easily recognizable. And we are training our hearts and our minds to understand what truth looks like. And truth may be different for everyone else, but that ultimate understanding within one another when you are living in your true authentic self is something that can be recognized, and it can be appreciated and valued by yourself and those around you. And I'm just like grateful. Like I'm in a space where I'm so grateful. Everything that everything that I asked for, God has given to me. And I know he has so much more in store, because though even through everything that I've been through, I've still accomplished so much. And I know I would have not been able to do that without his hand. And I'm just so grateful. I'm in a place where I can genuinely just bask in gratitude and be grateful. And I think that's what blesses me so much and what makes God trust me, because it's like, even though it's like a father kid relationship, even though I don't always appreciate the discipline or in the moment, or I don't always like want to get disciplined, when I get through that process, it's like right back to love, unconditional love, because I understand what was meant to grow me was never meant to harm me, but instead help me bring myself into who I know God has called me to be. And now I'm more mindful of redirecting myself because I don't want to have to go through that again. So it's a certain reverence that God builds within us with these experiences, because it's like, it's not just fear, like I'm following God out of fear, but it's reverence. It's understanding what it looks like and what it feels like to not be under God's protection, not be under God's umbrella, not be shielded by his light. I understand what that feels like and I don't like it. So I'm much more mindful now in how I move and how I interact with other people, so that I don't have to go through that. And I can teach other people that you don't have to always go through the worst stuff. You can avoid it by listening to your discernment. You can grow in love and light, and also learn how to appreciate darkness and have a reverence for it, so you can have that balance, so you don't fall into that imbalance. But this is just a little chitty chit chat episode. I just wanted to get back in with y'all, because I know I ain't posted yet this year. I know. But I'm really trying to, if not twice a month, I want to try and at least like post once every week. I want to try and post once every week. I can't say I'll give you an exact date, because my schedule, I work with how God wants me to work. But I am trying to be more disciplined, so I'm gonna put this up there for y'all because I like y'all. But yeah, TTP. I just want to say, y'all have a great rest of your week. We was it Wednesday? Filming Wednesday. I'll probably be out by tomorrow. But have a great rest of your week. Be patient. Be kind to yourself and others. And pay attention. Pay attention because everything matters. A lot of times we overlook a lot of stuff that could save us a lot of trouble because we're just like, eh. But if you feel like God's just, don't overthink stuff because in this world it's really easy to be anxious with everything going on every day. So learn to laugh, learn to enjoy the hard moments, but also learn to appreciate the blessings. So those hard moments aren't so hard because you know you can get back to where you're supposed to. So I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you guys. Be blessed.